Are Jehovah's Witnesses bad people? They shun their loved ones, they allow their children to die because they refuse to take blood transfusions, and they're deeply homophobic, just to name a few things. But they're in a high control religion. They deal with heavy indoctrination, and they'll be kicked out of the group if they dissent. So again, are Jehovah's Witnesses bad people? Their behavior and decisions don't happen in a vacuum. High control religions demand absolute obedience and loyalty, and they heavily discourage things like doubt or dissent. But to really understand what's happening cognitively for a cult member, let's refresh ourselves on the BITE model. The BITE model is an acronym that explains how cults control their members and why members ultimately obey. B stands for behavior. Some quick examples of control of behavior include dictating who members associate with, separating them from their family, discouraging individualism, and implementing either punishments or rewards for a behavior that you want to modify. Next, I stands for information. Some of the ways that information can be controlled include omitting important pieces of information, discouragement of taking in information not controlled by the group, and through the encouragement of spying on each other, which I have covered in one of my recent videos. T stands for thoughts. Some of the ways that thoughts are controlled can include remapping the member's entire sense of reality, using buzzwords and loaded language, and teaching thought-stopping techniques like denial, rationalization, or justification. And lastly, E is for emotions. The way that emotions can be controlled include promoting feelings like guilt or worthlessness, instilling fear of the outside world and being shunned if you leave the group, or being taught that you'll only find happiness if you are a member of the group. But members of cults are still just people, and their need for community and connection get heavily entangled with the need to obey. Within Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right after the immediate survival through things like food and shelter comes the need for love and belonging. These needs are what motivate behavior and lead to a sense of fulfillment and self-actualization. So let's take a look at the average Jehovah's Witness and their hierarchy of needs. Just like everyone else, they need to meet their physiological and safety needs like food, shelter, clothing, and employment. But when you're not allowed to associate closely with people outside the religion, that leaves them dependent on other members within the group to provide the majority of their needs. The love and belonging category, things everyone needs for survival, are dependent on the members' loyalty and obedience to the rules. They will lose this entire category if ostracized from the religion. These three categories of the hierarchy complete what are known as the deficiency needs. You must meet these categories to avoid deprivation. The next two categories are considered growth needs. They emerge when the lower levels of needs are already met. The growth categories focus more on self-esteem and personal development. Both of these categories also become heavily entangled with indoctrination because cults prey on the human need for belonging and esteem. Your individual identity and purpose are reliant on being part of the group. So if you're ever ousted from the group, the member's entire hierarchy of needs falls apart. And this can mean someone's physical and mental survival that is put at serious risk. This is why cult members will go to great lengths just to stay part of the group. Why they do things that hurt their loved ones, and how they convince themselves that it's for some greater purpose. They are victims of very complex indoctrination that often requires professional help like therapy. I've come to the conclusion that while I may have been deeply harmed and betrayed by individual witnesses, there is definitely nuance that needs to be accounted for, and help that should be given to anyone that finds themselves realizing that they are in a cult and that they want to leave.